Hi, everyone. This is Lynn from Devine Central. In last week's video, What Tarot Does and Doesn't Do, I had mentioned that I didn't feel that tarot gave medical advice or financial advice. Now, there are people on either end of the spectrum, other readers, that will either flat out not answer those questions at all, or they will redirect the question, which then they catch hell from other readers for not answering the direct question. But I don't think it's about black and white. I think that if somebody is sitting in front of you and they have a really serious question that they want to ask, I don't think you should just blow them off. I think you should try to find a way to help them. Now, I happen to think it's okay to redirect a question if it's something that I don't intend to answer as is. So, for example, let me just start throwing them out. One would be, I had a biopsy last week. I get the results next Tuesday. Will it show that I have cancer? Now, that's obviously a medical question that I couldn't begin to answer. So how could we redirect that into this options spread that I mentioned last week that I wanted to show you this week? And let's just hit some of these questions and show you how you could respond or how you could answer to that, okay? All right, so I'm using the Sun and the Moon Tarot deck. It's kind of a cute deck, but I like it because it kind of opens up my third eye to other things sometimes when I get stuck in one deck. So I like to kind of, trade it off and see what I can't get out of a different deck, what I can't glean out of a different deck. Okay, so let me switch cameras. All right, so here's the deck I'm using. Okay, all right. Hey, if you guys haven't seen my 600 questions for your tarot practice, I've got like, oh my God, I've got like 600 of them. Like, yes. Anyway, you can find them down below in my Etsy shop. People seem to really like these. The questions are very good, and it's an accumulation over years. But there you go. You cut them up, put them in a little bag, and you're off and running. I chose some questions today because I needed specific questions. So anyway, here we go. Okay, the question was, I had a biopsy. I get the results next week and I need to know if I have cancer. And I would say to that person, look, the radiologist probably hasn't read the report. I'm sure the doctor hasn't read the report yet, and probably won't until an hour before your appointment. So it's not in the universe. It's not out there. And even if it were, I am not in a position to diagnose for you. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a look at what your path might look like if you were to if the results are positive, and what would your path look like if they're negative? Because don't you know that if you sat back for a week or two and were waiting for a diagnosis of something of this magnitude, finding out that it's negative, that might change how your whole path in life goes. Might it not, I should say. Okay. I want to start by making sure that spirit, if you believe as I do, that spirit is here and with us and is listening and participating with us today. So I always start with one card. Let's take a look at your path if the results are positive for cancer. Let's take a look at what your path might look like if your path was, or if it's negative, right? And then a little bit of maybe advice from spirit or last word from spirit. Okay. All right. All right. So are you here with us? Oh, look at this. Four of Swords. Okay. It's this kind of intimating that there is some recovery to be done, right? Maybe you're kind of down for the count, and your situation is stable for right now, but gee whiz, you know what? We have swords. So I know that you're thinking about recovery already. You're thinking about, how am I going to get past this, right? So I think that tells us that you really are here with spirit. Okay, so let's look at the path if you were to move forward with cancer. Okay. Okay. So I'm just doing this off the cuff. I have no idea what the cards said, so you'll have to bear with me. There are resources out there that are very much available to you. And you know what? You're the catalyst. You're the catalyst between your own body, mind, and spirit, and the modern medicine that is available to you out there. But nevertheless, it is out there. And you can see that up in the sky. This is somebody pointing up to the resources. So not only do you have physical resources and medications and procedures that can help you, but to me, it shows that you also have your higher power that will be watching over you, and you need to rely on that as well. Five of Pentacles. You might have some setbacks through this whole process, and you might not feel good through this whole process. And that would stand to reason. I mean, cancer is not a nice thing. It's kind of a mean thing. And it's to be expected that there'll be setbacks along the way. But you know what? You've got the Two of Wands in this deck. It's called Dominion, and you have choices, right? The Two of Wands. This is about energy, and it's about you have two options. You can fight your way forward, or you can give up. And I think if you're ever going to fight, you might as well fight to win, right? So that's kind of what I see on this side. You have that choice. All right, so let's say that you don't have Cancer. Let's say it comes back negative. King of Cups, the High Priestess, and the Seven of Swords. Okay. So what might your life be like? What might your path be like if you find out that it's negative? Well, for one thing, I know that it's going to be, I'm sorry, King of Cups, not Knight of Cups. This is about emotional support systems. This is about compassion and caring. And it says to me that, it's a victory of the heart, right? Because in your heart, you're going to be so happy that this thing is over, and you don't have to worry about that. It stands to reason, though, that you're not going to have all the answers right away. And I don't think the universe ever gives us more than we can handle at any one time. But I think you're going to find that there's more information coming. And I think it's going to make you relook at your own spirituality and how you deal with these kind of things, because you get now to look back on the last week and whatever emotional roller coaster you might have gone through because of that potential diagnosis and the not knowing. And now, of course, you need to process that. Seven of Swords. You might be retested in the future. To me, sevens are about a retest, but oftentimes it's not about, if it was a Seven of Pentacles, then it's really, it's going to be it could really be a physical retest, but this is about swords. It's about our intellect. It's about what we think and how we communicate what we think. And so I think that you will be struggling maybe with some ups and downs about what you went through, and maybe even futility. You can't worry about it. You have to let go and let God take over when it comes to something that's serious. Advice from Spirit. The Eight of Cups. Look at that. The Eight of Cups. What does this say to you? It says from Spirit, it's not something that you can control. So you have all the information, you have all the cups lined up. This is a conscious decision to walk away from something that no longer serves you. And all the worry and the swords and the worrying and everything that you have, you don't have, whatever it is, you can't control it. So you need to find a place for it and then walk away from that and free yourself for your future. Okay, so that's just an idea of something. All right, so let me ask a different question. Okay. Will I win this lawsuit? Okay, so there's another question that, well, first place, what lawsuit, right? Because you don't have any of the details and particulars, and probably best that you don't, right? So let's lay those cards. Spirit, are you going to be here to guide us through this question? Okay. Let's take a look at, well, let's see if you do win the lawsuit. What would your path look like? Let's say you lose the lawsuit. What would your path look like? Now, I prefer, and a little bit of message from Spirit, I would prefer to have a little bit more information. Is this a custody battle? Let's say that you're fighting with an ex, or is this a business partner? I would want just enough context to be able to have this make sense. So let's call this a custody battle for the children. Okay. This is the Two of Cups. It's about two people who are bound together by what something very strong. And that could very well be, two people falling in love, but it could also be two people who are so in love with their kids and so hate each other, right? That could be the a divorce, but it's spirit saying this is about two people who want the same thing, right? They both want the kids. So I think that tells me spirit's here. All right. So what if you win the suit? Ooh, we have Judgment, we have Seven of Wands, and we have the Star. Okay, so judgment, judgment is usually about not other people judging us. It's usually about how we judge ourselves. And we look at what we've done right, we look at what we've done wrong, we forgive ourselves for it, and we move on. Because if we can't learn the lesson, if we can't heed the call and learn the lesson, it means we're doomed to repeat ourselves over and over again. So I think it could very well be in this case, right? A court standing judgment over us. But let's say that you win, but you still need to take a look at your part in all of this and in order to move forward. And I know it will be tough. Seven of Wands. Here again, we have a retesting, right? And our limits, our patience, our love, our history, everything is kind of thrown out there and being tested. And we have felt like we've been fighting forever for this. And it doesn't mean that the fight is over because now you have all the little details that you have to work out. So you've won the judgment. You've started taking a hard look at how you're going to parent now as a separate couple. You're going to have tests along the way, but you know what? In the end, the star. In the end, we have the healing that will take place, and hopefully, it will heal the relationship so that you can have. Oh, and I love it. We've got two little fish here working together. We've got two fish working together. Um, you will have your spirit guides watching over you and helping the two of you pull together and learn how to parent together, and things will work out fine. Now, let's say that you don't win the custody battle. Let's say you're a woman and he gets the kids for some reason. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. So what it tells us is swords, swords, swords. This is going to be a real mental battle for you. The Eight of Swords, here we go. This is about, I call it my stinking thinking card, right? This is about having this fatalistic attitude and not being able to see clearly and not feeling like you can get out of the situation. Let me get you in the light. And from there, it means but you're going to have to move on. Eventually, you're going to move on to calmer waters, right? Isn't this the one where you're in the boat with the boatman taking you from the tumultuous water into the calm pool of water. Oftentimes the swords are all stuck in the boat, and I never could figure out how the boat stayed afloat because of that. But to me, that's all your mental baggage and that you're taking along with you on this trip. So I think that you will move along. I like in this card too, it's time to move on. And you sense that it's time to move on, sometimes of your own accord and sometimes not. So think of getting fired from a job that you never really liked, or being dumped by a boyfriend that never treated you nice anyway, right? Could be the ex-husband here, right? But it could be being in a situation where a legal situation turns against you, and you have no choice but to move on without what you were looking for. And that has to be okay. And you have to find that calmer ground, and you will find it. And you will recover, right? You will recover from that. So there's recovery, there's healing either way. Spirit, what say you? It says, trust that the universe will provide a soft landing when you fall off that cliff. Okay, either way. All right. Let's try another one. Okay, so I want to answer a question that I get a lot. Not a lot, but I get it more than the others. But one that I think everybody wants to know how to deal with, and that is my partner cheating on me. How's that? Okay. I would say, I don't know that. And I certainly wouldn't let anybody record it because that could be used against you, legally if it's not true, if you show that they're cheating and they're not. I don't know. Are they cheating? Are they not cheating? I don't know. I can't tell you decisively either way. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a look at um, your about trust? Can you trust this person? Not are they cheating, but can you trust this person? What if you can trust them? What if you can't trust them? What does the path look like for you going forward? So, Spirit, let's answer that question. And then let's take a look at, can you trust this person? And what that path would look like. Or if you can't find a way to trust this person going forward, what's your path going to look like? I don't think it's going to be around very long, honestly. But Spirit, let's see what you have to say. The Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so to me, right away, that's a self card. And it tells me, what do I mean by that? The self card is it's about being comfortable in your own skin. It's about being self-resilient and self-confident and self-assured. And it's I call it my self card. It's about not needing somebody else to take care of you, being totally comfortable within your own skin and able to maintain your life. So I think what it is it's a reminder to the querent. Listen, no matter what any of these cards say, you have the strength, you have the fortitude, you have worked yourself through life and gained enough confidence and enough financial status and everything to take care of yourself. So either way, whatever happens, you're going to be okay. And I think that that's a very important point to make. Okay. So can you trust him? What would your life look like if you felt like you could trust him? Ace of Pentacles. I think it would open up. It might lead to something, a new beginning of some kind for you and him to communicate. Okay. Pentacles are about home. They're about home and finances but I think more about security and about safety and about it's like a new beginning for you to feel safe if you can finally let go of some of these things and just trust him, which might take a conversation between you and him to do that. But then you have to rely on that conversation. You have to rely on how you feel about it. And you either make the decision to stay or go, but you don't sit on the fence anymore. Okay. The Prince of Cups, it tells me I love the Princess of Cups. That's the same as the page. And that tells me that that there's a new direction for you. If you stay and you decide that you're going to trust him and trust what he says, it opens up new doors for the relationship and takes it into a more positive direction. And it gives you some stability in this relationship. Okay. So I think you're going to feel way more stable and way more comfortable, but you have to trust that he's not cheating on you. You have to provide that trust. Let's say that you can't find a way to trust him. Wow, look at all the fire. Jeez. So here we have a different direction, right? This is taking us in one direction. This is taking us in the opposite direction. And it's going to kind of be trial by fire, I think. It's going to, I think you're going to constantly be reaching up. You're constantly be looking for, what's around the corner. And I feel like the Two of Wands, you're going to be at that crossroads constantly without making a decision one way or another. And you're just going to be stuck there at the intersection. And finally, the Prince of Cups. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the Knight of Cups is kind of a cad. He's kind of a narcissist. He's kind of a player, and it's as if you'll never be able to trust him. You're never going to have that peace if you can't develop this trust in him. So, Spirit, what say you? Here we go. Here we have the Knight or the Prince of Wands now. Okay, so this is just like jumping into the fire and not really having an out. So you have to decide from there. You're either going to trust him or you're not. But if you believe, if you can't trust him and you believe he's cheating, whether he is or not, it's not going to matter, because you're going to feel all this pain. You're going to feel this, the fire. You're going to feel burnt by this person. You're going to feel played by this person, whether he is cheating or not. It's not even going to matter at that point. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so I'm all shuffled. Oh, I'm all shuffled up. And let's ask, will my ex come back to me? Will my ex be coming back to me? And I'd say, oh, gee, you know what? I hope you're not living your life waiting for the past to reappear for you, because our whole lives revolve around moving forward. So why don't we take a look at, what if he comes back? What would your path look like if he comes back? And what would your path look like if he doesn't come back to you? Okay. Instead of just doting on him, let's take a look at that. All right. Seven of Pentacles. Okay. So, oh my gosh, this is a card. It says failure. Okay. But I don't see the Seven of Pentacles as failure. I see the Seven of Pentacles as a need for patience, and maybe not just patience with him or the situation, but patience with yourself. Oftentimes, we see the Seven of Pentacles with the man leaning on the hoe, and he's thinking, oh, should I give in? Should I throw in the towel now? Should I move on? And I liken it to, we till the soil, we plant the seeds, we fertilize, we water, and then we wait and we wait. And we have put in all this time and all this energy into this relationship, right? With our seeds, and we have put in more energy that we're not getting back out of it. And then we wonder, we second guess ourselves. What did we do wrong? It's not about us. It's about not giving the situation a time to, to percolate and to grow, and to, see where it can take us. Oftentimes we want answers and we want them right now. And that doesn't help us. So I think having a little patience with ourselves, and also being tested. I think sevens are about testing. So what would it look like if he came back? Okay. What would it look like? King of Wands, the Five of Wands, and the Four of Pentacles. I think that I liken the King of Wands to him. I think he's probably a very gregarious, outgoing, controlling kind of person. Can you handle being controlled? He would be in control of the situation. So it would not be a balanced relationship. And that will open up to some squabbles. And it seems to me petty arguments and bullshit is how you got here in the first place. And that's why he left. And so it's that strife. I don't necessarily see that ending here. But there would be some stability brought into the relationship, only because I think it would be your failure to stand up for yourself. You would not want him to leave again. And out of fear of that, I think you would let him have control of the situation, which again brings stability, but it doesn't necessarily help the situation. Now, on the other hand, if he doesn't come back, what would your life path look like? Well, for one thing, you would have people around you, whether you realize it or not, with this Three of Cups. You would have a sisterhood. You would have, or brotherhood, depending on if this is a man or a woman. But you would have the camaraderie. You would have people in your life now that hold you up or that lift you up, as opposed to somebody who's tearing you down. And you might be alone for a while, as the hermit would stay, but that would give you that time and that opportunity to really evaluate your life and see where you want to go. You've learned from this relationship. Now use that wisdom to plan your path ahead. King of Pentacles, finally finding that safety and security that you thought you had with this king, but in all actuality, you have it here. And this could be somebody better suited for you, somebody that makes you feel better about yourself, somebody who lifts you up, or it could just be that safety and security of knowing who you are now. Spirit, what say you? Two of Swords. You know, it's the choice is yours. Should we try one more? Okay, so cards shuffled. Let's take a look now at something really tough, like um, my husband has cancer. Can you tell me how long he has to live? Or when will he die? Or will he die this year? And I would have to say, I don't know, and nobody knows. My mother died of cancer, and her oncologist, when she asked how much time she had, he said, Marianne, he said, we're not born with a toe tag that tells us when we're leaving. We're leaving when God's will takes us. So what I might say is, for me personally now, I'm asking a lot more questions in my practice than I ever did. And I would want to know why. What is the concern over when? Is it for planning? Is it out of fear of being alone, walking that path alone? Is it what is it that has you asking that question? And I would try to draw that out. So let's say, for example, that this person's asking, because they don't know how. I don't know. They're afraid of being alone, right? Maybe it's out of fear of having to walk that path alone. And if that's the case, then we could redirect that question and say, look, what will your path be like in that first year after he passes? Because we know he's passing. It's just a matter of when. But what can you do in this first year after he leaves? How can you find closure? How can you find acceptance of the situation, right? Right. Spirit, the Prince of Cups. Okay, so my go-to for this card, I'm going to lighten this up for a minute, is expect the unexpected. So he might live a lot longer than you think. That might be great, right? Or you might find that that his spirit is with you, and you can feel it. A lot of times there are people who have no psychic experiences at all, and as soon as somebody passes, they're filled with this feeling of love and that they're not alone. And so expect the unexpected. All right. So I guess let's start with what's what's this first year going to be like for you? And then we'll go into how you're going to find acceptance and closure. All right. The first year, it's going to be a new beginning, and it's going to be a heartfelt one. It doesn't, we always see this as, oh, being a positive heart thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a positive heart thing, right? It could be, I mean, your heart is going to be so open, and it's going to be so vulnerable. And it's going to be overflowing with emotion and feelings. That's going to be the start of this first year without him. And again, you're going to have to move on. You're going to have to move on, and it's not going to be maybe necessarily at your choosing, but nevertheless, you're going to have to find your way through the tumultuous waters to those calm waters. You're going to have to move from all that turbulence to something a little calmer, and it will come. It just might take some time, but at the end of the day, you will understand that he is now in a better place. You are going to find that you can move on, and you can actually, by the end of one year, be be a whole person again, because you won't feel like it in the beginning. You'll feel like you'll sense that piece missing, and he'll always be missing, but you won't feel in your heart like you're destitute. You will find your place, and it will take some time, but you'll get there. So how, in the meantime, how do you navigate that? I mean, how do you find a way to close and accept? Well, for one thing, Three of Pentacles is a teamwork card, right? Don't do it alone. Do it with people, again, who lift you up, who are there for you. Rely on them. Let them help you find the closure and find your path forward. The Two of Wands, right? This is sitting at that crossroads. It's a need to pick your path and find the one that works for you. Which one has the better energy for you? And finally, the Death card, right? The Death card, which is also rebirth. Okay. It will lift you up. So what you'll do is you will find that feeling of transformation, um, letting go of something that was inevitable, right? But it'll open the door for something new and something better. And until then, you need to get off the fence and find something to do, in a energetic or a physical sense that will give you purpose. And that purpose will fill that void eventually. All right. So, Spirit, what say you? We have the Nine of Wands. It'll be a struggle, but this is the finish what you started card, right? It's a nine, it's a completion. Everything's going to come full circle, and you will get past all of the obstacles in your way. Have faith in that. So there are a lot of there's I mean, I have a bunch of other questions I made out for this, but you know what? I mean, I could keep going, but you get the point. I think it's important to think through these kinds of questions. And maybe what I'll do is I'll post a bunch of them down below so that you can start working on how would you redirect that? How would you get them out of one frame of mind, one question that is either not possible to answer, like when will they die? Or who's going to win this court case, or do I have cancer? How would you redirect them? How would you handle that? I really believe in tarot being best for showing people the path forward. What do they have to look forward to? When you have a plan and you're focused on a plan down the road, you are less likely to be pulled off in every little detour along the way. And so I think that for me, helping people see what the path might look like down the road gives them it takes the question out of being right here in their face and puts it down the road so they can see the bigger picture. Does that make sense? Okay. I would appreciate a thumbs up if you found this helpful. That's how people find me. I have this shop. I have all these new things that are going on in my shop, and new things that I'm adding and services I'm adding. And I'm going to want to share those with you here shortly. Just bear with me, because right now I have more on my plate than I have time for. So these videos aren't necessarily timely, but I try to make them, at least worthwhile for you when I do put them out. So take care, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.